Yeah, hello.
Yes，就是大家在我们读6之前，在对前面这一章哈，有什么问题吗？或者其他任何的问题可以提出来。欢迎大家 ，Sunny，自由，这都是新朋友哈，神力回来了，欢迎大家。要不然我就开始就是报告一下今天的日期吧。今天是1月18日，2024。我们继续读第111篇，调整者与灵魂。第6部分是人类的自相矛盾。Heidi, can you report it in English?
Can I what?
Can you report today's okay, I'll do that.
Oh no, I can you mean I'll announce the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're on hello everyone. We're finishing up the thought adjuster, the fabulous thought adjuster papers. We're on paper 111, the adjuster and the soul. And today we're reading section 6, the adjuster, the human paradox, and maybe section 7, the adjuster's problem, which is the last paper in this section. And we're going to read for 2 hours and then stop. Because there's no point in reading when people all fell asleep. I don't want people to miss this great stuff.
对，他是说这个第111篇就马上接近尾声了，我们还有第6和第7部分，要读，我们就读2个小时就停下，因为如果大家都睡了，也没有必要继续了。那个第6部分是人类的自相矛盾，第7部分是调整者的问题。OK， 现在我们就开始读吧。OK，let's start.
Yeah, and we can stay on and talk after, but I'll just stop reading after 2 hours.
对，就是正式读呢2个小时，然后聊天呢就随便谁留下来都可以。现在要一个伙伴，来给我们做 volunteer 读那个译文的部分，他读英文，然后有一个伙伴读中文，然后他评论的部分我来翻译。哪个伙伴想要今天读那个译文的部分？
And starting next week, I will try to start at 6:30, so that we can get more reading time in while people are still awake. So if people can try to check in on time, a lot of people check in late because they know I come late, but I'm going to try to start at 6:30 so that people can, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that people can actually, we get more reading time before people fall asleep.
对，他是从下周我争取6点半就来，大家可以早一点开始读，这样的话呢，对，可以多读一些。OK。
And I have one question, and that is, I see that we have a Sunny in the group. Is that your cat or is that a person?
跟那个 Sunny 这个伙伴开玩笑，因为我的猫的名字也叫 Sunny， 他说这个是那个猫上来了，还是那是一个人上来了？Hi Sunny。
Okay. Okay. Did you already translate what I said in Chinese?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So we'll read the human paradox.
Yeah， 这人类的自相矛盾。要不然有没有伙伴自愿来给我们读中文的？
Many of the temporal troubles. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. OK.
Oh, go ahead.
沈丽给我们读中文吧，哈。
好的。先读中文是吗？
不是，他英文先。
OK， 好。
OK。
Hi, Shenli. Nice to
see you.
Hello,
nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again.
For 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've missed you. We've missed you.
I moved to another town, so a lot of change.
Oh,
This-
you like it?
yeah.
Is a new place good?
Yeah, yes, very good, quieter. Because I'm retired, so I would like to quit the big city like Guangzhou.
So you
She
left?
moved to a smaller town.
Yeah.
She's retired, so
Yes.
she chose to live in a quieter, smaller.
Yes, yes,
place.
where,
Smaller city, yeah.
yes, where you can be nice and peaceful to think about the Urantia book teachings.
Yes, exactly.
I live in a nice, quiet little, tiny little town.
Me too. I think similar, but
Yeah. Yeah. I'll show you pictures sometime after one of the classes of my town. It's so cute.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I
So
lived
nice.
sure, I lived in New York City for like 25 years, so I know what big towns are like.
对，他们俩聊天呢，就是那个，因为沈丽说她挪到一个比较小的城市，比较安静的地方，然后海蒂说她也是，她以前在纽约住过25年，她就在纽约那边出生的，在长岛出生的嘛。然后她现在住的地方是非常安静的一个海边的小镇。她说有机会以后可以分享一些照片给大家看。OK。
And we have two other people they don't have English names, but welcome.
他说那个有2个伙伴，这2个伙伴能不能后边加一下你们的英文名字，随便起个英文名字，在中文名字后边，自由和张鹏辉，这样的话他有的时候叫名字的时候比较方便一点，因为他不认识中文。
They don't actually. Shenli is not English. The name doesn't have to be English, but if it's in letters, then I can
Yeah, so
it's
her
my Chinese name.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's
exactly her Chinese name. Yeah.
It could be anything. Like it could be Rover. It could be Mars, Venus.
他说随便你在名字后边打一个随便什么英文都可以，随便给自己起个名字。自由和张鹏辉这2个伙伴应该都是从奇迹课程选来的，欢迎你们。
Okay. Ready, set. Oh, do we have someone who's going to do read in Chinese? Decided.
Shirley is
Yeah,
going
I'm
to.
going to
Okay, okay. Our old trusty reader. Okay. The human paradox. Many of the temporal troubles of mortal man grow out of his twofold relation to the cosmos. Man is a part of nature. He exists in nature, and yet he is able to transcend nature. Man is finite, but he is indwelt by a spark of infinity. Such a dual situation not only provides the potential for evil, but also engenders many social and moral situations fraught with much uncertainty and not a little anxiety. Okay, Shenli.
人类的自相矛盾，凡人的许多世俗烦恼都源于他与宇宙的双重关系。人是自然的一部分，它存在于自然中，但它也是能够超越自然的。人是有限的，但它内在住着一团无限之火。这种双重情况不仅提供了邪恶的潜力，也产生了许多充满不确定性和不无焦虑的社会和道德状况。
Okay, so they're saying, that's pretty clear, but they're just saying there's that. Well, I thought one thing I thought was interesting was they said that wait a minute, they said man is in. They said that such a dual situation, not only wait, hold on 1 second, please. Not only provides the potential for evil, but also engenders many social and moral situations fraught with much uncertainty. Not only, so they're saying that the fact that oh, I see, yeah, the fact that we're a finite material being, indwelt by a spark of infinity, God, the thought adjuster, provides for the potential for evil. And I think what they mean by that is just so much of us, so much of our being is not perfect. We have that spark, we have our thought adjuster, but the rest of us is so far from perfect that of course and we have free will, so of course there's potential for evil. We're a dual, humans are a dual being, where they're all they're talking about in this paragraph is duality. Everything with us is duality.
就是这一节讲的是人类的二元性，对，我们是一个有限的物质的存在，但是呢，我们内在呢又有这个无限之火，就是神性片段像调整者在我们里面，所以呢，我们又赋予了自由意志，对吧？又是不完美的，那么这就是我们就有这个邪恶的潜力产生许多充满不确定性和不无焦虑的社会和道德状况，就是二元性造成的。
It's funny that it's so obvious to all of us, certainly all readers of the Urantia book, that man is has a twofold dual relationship to the cosmos. It's so clear that we exist in nature, but we can transcend nature. Every thought we have that we're aware of is transcending nature. Every feeling we have, well, no, that's not true, because thoughts and feelings, can exist to an extent in nature. Just animals can have, thoughts and feelings, but everything that differentiates us from animals, let's just say, at that point where we become more than an animal, we're transcending nature.
就我们是一个扬升的这个性质，本性是扬升的。我们这个是那个人跟宇宙的双重性。一方面我们从动物来，那么然后另外一方面我们又是内在有神性嘛，所以并且我们人类的情感区别于动物的情感，它都在一个养生的过程当中，也就在一个升华的过程当中，趋向完美的过程当中，就是说我们是不完美的造物，又向往完美，就是这样的一个双重性。
Animals don't write poetry.
对，动物不写诗。
They don't try to make beautiful art. I say beautiful art because elephants do make paintings.
那个他们不创造优美的艺术，他说到大象怎么着？大象 What do you mean by elephant making beautiful art?
Because I was going to say animals don't make art, but there's all these videos that maybe you've seen them where elephants actually can paint.
对，他刚说动物不创造艺术，但是呢，他说，他看到一个 video 说是大象呢，它也画画，很奇怪哈。Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and they're pretty good, I mean, they seem to enjoy it. They're not just performing a trick like imitating. Well, we don't really know what they're doing, but it seems like they enjoy it.
对，他们好像这些大象也是很享受画画，不是单纯的模仿。
There really is sometimes there appears to be a very fine line between animals and humans.
他说，实际上在人和动物之间，这种的区别其实是非常模糊的。
There are all these videos of animals, well, stories and videos of animals who actually risk their lives to save humans, to save other animals.
对，那有一些的动物，它们可以冒着生命危险去救人啊，或者救其他的动物。
Part of that is nature because it is a part of our nature to save our children.
有一部分原因呢，就是我们的本性，就是我们想要救我们的孩子。
But there's a point where it transcends nature and becomes a kind of noble act.
对，那个另外一部分呢，就是说他可以超越这个本性，其实显得很高贵，这个行为。
Oh, we got some names here. We have Shang Pen Hu. Is it like who?
他看到你那个加了张鹏辉，加了
Shang Peng Hui.
彭辉is his first name. Zhang is his last name.
And how do you say Hui?
Hui, yeah, Hui. Yes, you're right. 彭辉.
Peng Hui.
Yes, yeah, very well.
Oh, thank you. I'm learning. Hey, you didn't play that. You didn't get a chance to play that song this morning, did you?
I played it, but
Oh.
back then only Eva is there.
Oh, okay. So Eva got a little treat. We'll play it again next week. I'll check in early, and while you're setting up, we can play it. So, did you like it? Isn't it beautiful?
Yes，他就让我给大家就是会前放的那个，是一个人弹古筝，但是呢，还好像跟西方的一种什么乐器啊，还是节奏啊，就是结合起来了，是一个很典型的中西合璧的这么一个艺术作品。然后他让我给大家放，我放的时候大概只有 Eva 在。Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I think it's fun. So we'll play it next week, maybe every week, but we'll she has two more that are really pretty too that I found. But it's a nice mixture between America and China, right?
Yes, it is. Very, very, yeah, very a new creation of art.
Yeah, perfect for this group.
我说他是对中西合璧的这么一个艺术作品。他说跟我们这个读书群一样，中西。
Yeah, I'm so glad you liked it. It will get us in the right frequency.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
And then we have Anne and Eva's back with us. Oh, and Shu Yan.
疏远续缘，对，
Shu Yan.
I think 雪燕，雪燕。
Shu Yan.
Yeah.
Hey, so it's in English it would be Susan.
Susan. 你可以给自己起个名字叫 Susan，Sussan。对，
just one Susan.
他们在英文当中没有 X 这个音的，所以对他来说很难发的。你起一个叫 Susan 吧。
我吗？
雪燕。
怎么写？我现在改。
Susan. Heidi, how to spell
Susan.
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 比较 easy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good.
Or you can have both. I'm just, it's, I mean, either one, whatever. But I just think it's funny because it is a little bit like that.
他就说你的名字原来，哎，他一看他就想到这个 Susan 这个名字，他说你可以保留2个。
OK OK，
Okay, so basically this paragraph is just saying that when you have this duality, you have the potential for evil, and you have and you also have many social and moral situations fraught with uncertainty and not a little anxiety. And when oh, okay, I'll let you translate.
对，他说，因为我们的二元性嘛，那既有动物性，又有神性，都在我们的人性里边，所以这个跨度很大嘛，那就很不确定。他就是最后这一句话，就是提供了邪恶的潜力，产生了许多充满不确定性和不无焦虑的社会和道德状况，是由于我们的二元性所决定。
That's the last sentence.
Yes.
And I just want to mention here that when we have we all have uncertainty, we all have a certain amount of anxiety. Our thought adjuster, our angels, they expect that. They're saying right here, that's part of being human. So don't feel, don't be too hard on yourself when you have uncertainties and anxiety. Being human, that's part of the deal.
对，其实我们内在的思想调整者啊、天使啊，知道这是我们的这是我们的状况，所以就作为一个人，他都是有这个二元性，所以不要因为自己有这个二元性，有的时候升起焦虑，这是整个交易的一部分，就是我们要承认，我们实际上每个人都是存在这个二元性的。
There are many ways to reduce our uncertainty and anxiety, and we're through the readings and through exploration, we're learning those ways, we're discovering those ways, and we're realizing that the more we relate to our higher nature and let our higher nature dominate our lower nature, the less anxiety and the less uncertainty we feel.
所以我们都可以有方式就是减轻我们的不确定性和焦虑。随着我们读更多啊，解释更多呀，这样的话，我们越多的跟我们的高的那本性去联系、去连接，那么对这个不确定性和焦虑就会降低、减少。
Because with our higher natures, when we let the spark of infinity guide us, it's always a good day. Nothing's ever wrong.
对，如果我们跟我们更高的那个本性去连接的话，我们总是就是跟那个无限的那个火花连接，每天都是没有错误的，不会有犯错的。
Okay, next paragraph. The courage required to effect the conquest of nature and to transcend oneself is a courage that might succumb to the temptation of self-pride. The mortal who can transcend self might yield to the temptation to deify his own self-consciousness. The mortal dilemma consists in the double fact that man is in bondage to nature, while at the same time he possesses a unique liberty, freedom of spiritual choice and action. On material levels, man finds himself subservient to nature, while on spiritual levels, he is triumphant over nature and over all things temporal and finite. Such a paradox is inseparable from temptation, potential evil, decisional errors, and when self becomes proud and arrogant, sin may evolve. Shenli, it's all yours.
Yeah. 征服自然和超越自我所需的勇气，可能会屈服于自负的诱惑；能够超越自我的凡人，可能会屈服于神化自己、自我意识的诱惑。凡人的困境在于这个双重事实：一方面，人类受制于自然；另一方面，人类又拥有独特的自由。灵性选择和行动的自由。在物质层面上，人类发现自己受制于自然；而在灵性层面上，人类战胜了自然以及所有世俗性的有限的事物。这种自相矛盾与诱惑、潜在的邪恶、决策错误密不可分。当自我变得骄傲自大，罪恶就可能会产生。OK，
顺利，你再把下一段也读了吧，他可能是不
Okay,
是
I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that.
OK？
So this is wonderful. They're saying I was just saying we can transcend our lower nature, but they're saying in this paragraph it takes courage to do that.
对，他这一段呢，表明就是我们是可以超越比较低的那个本性。
And now they're saying not only do we have the problem of being a dual origin and having a dual being a dual origin mortal and having to live in this duality, but on top of that problem, when we have the courage to transcend our lower nature and let our higher nature dominate, we often have another problem, and that is that our ego can get in the way and start thinking we're super human, supernatural, super material, kind of a little bit of a god.
对，那就是我们的有双重的来源嘛，动物性就是凡人的部分，还有神这两部分。那么这个双重性呢，一方面，如果我们有勇气去超越的话，那当超越的部分、神性的部分，可以占主导。就是当你这种勇气上来的时候，信心上来的时候呢，又有问题了，就有可能你的小我、自我会上来了，你觉得自个儿好了不地的啊，是一个超人。
And we talk about that all the time here, and we always will, because it's such a big problem for spiritual people to think that they have a little tiny bit of spiritual know-how and to elevate themselves above people as if there's something, the anointed one.
对，那个我们前面读到的也说到，有一些灵性比较属灵的人，他们有那么一点的超越的能力，然后就把他们凌驾于其他的人之上，对，就是那种属灵的傲慢。
So that on material levels, man finds himself subservient to nature. So we have, they're talking more about the duality, where on a purely material level, we're subservient to nature. We're kind of a slave to nature. Everything about our material self is determined by what's around us, what's happening, what we're confronting, whether it's weather or threats, or we really don't have that much power. We're kind of like a little a little tumbleweed, blowing in the wind. We feel a little bit helpless. A tornado might be coming, a virus might be coming. So that's our material nature is on the material plane, we're very subservient to nature. But on the spiritual plane, we have this total liberty, our free will, where we can make decisions and nothing in the world can interfere with that.
对，这个双重性呢，就是在物质的层面，我们好像很软弱、脆弱，就是受天气的影响啊，其他的自然的威胁啊，好像就是没有任何的超能力，就是像被风吹走的杯子啊，或者受病毒影响，什么龙卷风，对，这个受这个物质层面的这些的限制和影响，但是呢，另外一方面，在理性的层面，我们又享有完全的一种自由，有自己做决定的，这个选择的自由，然后没有其他的因素能够干扰我们。
So for example, we might find ourselves in a terrible, terrible storm. Our physical self will be standing in the corner, screaming and crying in complete fear and panic.
对，那就是如果在一个风暴当中，举例说明，如果在一个风暴可怕的这个暴风雨当中，我们的物质的个人有可能非常的害怕，尖叫，然后哭泣、恐惧，在这个完全在恐慌当中。
There's absolutely nothing we can do about this storm raging around us.
对，我们好像对这个肆虐我们的这个狂风暴雨是没有办法的，是吧？丝毫没有办法，完全无力的。
But if we transcend our physical nature in that moment and let our spiritual nature dominate, something very different happens.
对，如果我们可以超越这个物质的本性，然后是升华到超越到这个属灵的本性，那么就是另外的一个就可以发生了。
Now we become the calm person who is helping everyone else, who is calming everyone else down, who is helping, protect other people, hopefully trying to find a safe place for everyone and making everyone feel better.
对，那这个我们就可以变得非常的冷静，帮助其他需要帮助的人，帮他们找到安全的地方，保护他们。
And once we decide to be the helper and not the victim of physical circumstances, no physical circumstances can change that. It's our decision. Now we've risen above the storm and become something more than the storm.
对，当我们决定做一个帮助的人，而不是牺牲品的时候，我们就超越了我们及时的这个物理的环境，我们就没有任何物理的环境能够改变我们，我们就超越于这个狂风暴雨之上。
This storm may bring out something in us that we didn't even know we had, that other people didn't know we had. A calm, confident, giving, generous, noble nature.
对，那么这个暴风雨呢，就是带出来我们原来并不知道我们拥有的一些的品质，比如说，平静啊，愿意给予奉献呐，然后慷慨啊和高贵啊这些的品质。
And that's why they say it requires courage true leaders always let their higher nature dominate in a crisis.
这个是在this in the text.
Is this in the text? No, it's not.
That you said.
I'm-
Okay.
I'm talking about this sentence that
Yeah.
says, on spiritual levels, he is triumphant over nature and over all things temporal and finite. I'm giving examples of this.
I see. 对，就是在这些危机当中呢，就是可以把这些的人类的这种内在的美好的品质给调动起来，活化出来。
And I'm also explaining why they start off saying courage is required to affect the conquest of nature and to transcend the first sentence, oneself is a courage. Okay, so this example of a leader who takes control in a crisis and helps everyone, leads everyone, calms everyone down. This is why we call these people these kind of leaders. And it doesn't have to be a leader. Anyone can rise to the occasion in a crisis and become a leader. But
对，
this is why we call these people courageous, because it takes courage to do this, to rise above your animal self who's filled with fear.
对，这个征服自然和超越自我，这个勇气，就是当你表达出这种勇气，你就成为人群当中的那个，就是领头的。
But then they're saying that there's a problem, and that is that now you've become this leader and you have courage, but now you can succumb to the temptations of self-pride. People around you are going to say, oh, you're so brave, you were so great in that crisis, you helped all of us, you're better than all of us, and you might start believing that.
对，当别人夸奖你说啊，你好勇敢啊，你在危机当中表现的这么镇静，你比我们大部分人都强，这样受到这样的夸奖的时候，往往你可能就信了。
You might say, yeah, I am pretty great, aren't I?
有可能你想，对啊，我是表现很棒啊，是不是啊？
And that's where you start going wrong.
但你这时就是开始往错误方向去了。
At that moment, you become less great than you were.
对，你从那一点就比前面完全无我状态下的那个表现就开始变差了。
You see this, it's so funny. You see this all around you where someone becomes a great piano player or a player or you might call it football, or a great artist or politician or teacher, famous actor, right? And then all of a sudden they're telling you what to do about your health care. They're weighing in on politics when they're an artist. They're all of a sudden they think because they're good, they're courageous in one area, they think they're an expert on everything. You see it all the time.
他就说有可能你是一个很棒的运动员啊、艺术家、钢琴家呀，或者教师啊，但是突然之间呢，你就开始评论医疗事业，或者就是政治，更多的参与政治，说一些可能并不是你原来的擅长领域的一些事情，因为他是假设他很棒，那么他在其他的领域也会很棒。
I don't want a pop star, a popular singer, telling me what politician I should admire.
我不想一个明星来告诉我应该敬仰哪一个政治家。
They can answer questions about singing.
他们可以回答关于唱歌的一些的事。
They can help people navigate the music business terrain.
对，帮助大家，可以帮助大家在这个音乐的领域探索，
because that's their expertise.
这是他们的一个专长。
But the moment they start thinking, I'm so great, I'm an expert on everything, now they have succumbed to this self-pride.
对，当他们讲，诶，我很棒，我是在各个方面的专家，那么他们就陷入这个骄傲、自我、自大的这个范畴。
So, okay, on material man finds himself, while spiritual is triumphant over nature. Such a paradox is inseparable from temptation. So this paradox, and when self becomes proud and arrogant, sin may evolve. So when the moment you start thinking you're great, you become arrogant and proud, you are more susceptible to sin.
当你这个，陷入这个自傲、自大的那个陷阱，觉得自个儿好伟大的，那么你这个时候就是非常的容易犯罪的，容易犯错和犯罪的。
Heidi, is
Yeah.
it talking about a spiritual ego?
There
Kind of a
definitely,
spiritual ego?
I would say that we refer to that as a big ego. Yes, because pride and arrogance always, from our point of view, we call that having a big ego. Yes.
Okay.
The
Thank you.
last sentence, such a paradox. This being subservient to nature on a physical level and triumphant over nature on a spiritual level. Such a paradox, the last sentence, is inseparable from temptation, potential evil, decisional errors. So they're saying it's inseparable. It creates the situation of potential evil, mistakes, and when self becomes proud and arrogant, sin may evolve. So basically, they're explaining that this duality, God has given us we have these moral decisions all the time, but when we make that self will, which makes us a transcendent moral being, because animals don't really have willpower. They just do what they do. Our willpower, our power of decision makes us more than a human. It makes us a little bit godlike, a potential perfect being, but it means we can make mistakes at we can always make the wrong decision. And sometimes those can lead us to very sinful things.
对，因为我们里边的神性，那么我们就是有这个潜力，就像神一样嘛，有这个潜力成为神，而这样的一种潜力，其实就是滥用了之后，就可能就会滋生罪恶。
And I would just add that one of the main things we can do to avoid going down because one sin can lead to another sin, can lead to another sin. You can do something sinful, and the next thing you know, you're lying. You feel guilty about what you did, and you're lying about what you did, or you're doing another sin to cover up the first sin.
对，他这个罪呢，往往一个罪就它会导向另外一个罪，另外一个就是这样慢慢的堕落下去。 比如说你犯了一个错误，你想着要去掩盖这个错误，撒更多的谎，去来掩盖，就这样会滚雪球似的越来越堕落。
So the best thing we can do to avoid going down that path, the wrong path towards sin, the best thing is to be honest, completely honest, to learn to be honest. And then when we make a mistake, own it. I made a mistake and make it right, because the minute you lie to yourself, you're going to cover up that mistake with another mistake, and you're going to go down the up as things are going to get worse and worse for you spiritually.
对，所以最好的避免朝那个不好的方向去，错误的路径的一个那个秘诀就是要对自己诚实当你就犯了一个错误的时候，你要承认它就负责任，对，而不是说用一个什么谎来掩盖，因为你越掩盖的话，你就是会朝着错误的路径走得越来越远。
If you so the keys, there's two keys. The keys are to stay humble. Don't think you're better than other people. You're not. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. We're all headed for the same destination. We're all mortals. None of us are a little bit better than the other people around us. If you can stay humble and then be honest, know that you'll make mistakes. You're not perfect. You're going, no matter how courageous or what kind of leader or what kind of singer you are, you're going to make mistakes all the time. So be honest about those mistakes and be accepting. It's okay to make them. Don't think you have to be perfect. So stay humble and be honest about your mistakes, and you'll be okay.
那两个就重要的点，你第一个就是要保持这个谦虚嘛，你不要觉得自个是比别人好的，我们每个人都有这个强项和弱项，那么都是作为凡人都是有同一个终点，那么对，就是第一点就是要谦虚嘛，第二点就是要保持诚实承认我们自己是不完美的。我们是倾向于这个犯错误的，并且犯错误是没有关系的就是要能够接受自己会犯错误这个事实勇于改正错，而不是试图掩盖。
And if we all learn, and I'm still learning myself, if we all learn to keep asking God for guidance, keep asking God to help us see our mistakes, help us not hate ourselves for making mistakes, help us learn from our mistakes, help us make amends when we make mistakes, help us stay on the right track and not become egotistical. If we keep asking God for help in these areas, we'll get help in these areas.
对，我也在继续的学习。对，我们要不停的请求神来给我们指导，不要当我们犯错的时候，不要厌弃我们自己，从错误当中能够学到东西，然后让神来帮助我们，就是在正道上，对，在任何一个方面就是需要帮助，就要请求帮助。
It's never very complicated to be a good person.
其实成为一个好人没有那么复杂。
We don't have to go live in a cave and do yoga for 20 years.
对，我们不必要避世到一个山洞里边或者做瑜伽这个的20年。
Don't you see that just asking God for help makes you a more humble person?
对你，当你请求帮助的时候，你就是一个谦虚的人。
Just saying to yourself, I know I'm not perfect. I know I make mistakes all the time. I want to see my mistakes. Don't you see that that helps you to see your mistakes?
对，嗯，对，那么就是跟神说，我知道我是不完美的，帮助我看到这些，就是当我们有这样的一种谦虚的心态，我们更容易看到错误所在。
It's like, so just asking God to guide you and to help you is like taking a magic pill that will help you be a better person.
对对，就是请求神来指导，给你指导，就是像吞下一个神奇的药丸的这个本身就会使你成为更好的人。
It's hard to start asking God for guidance and help when you're not used to it. So we have to get in the habit of doing it.
嗯对，好像求助有时不是很容易，但是呢，你养成习惯就好了。
It's just like anything else. It's just acquiring the habit. And I'm working on that myself.
对，就是他也在学习，就是养成这样的习惯，就是说不仰赖自己，仰赖神。
But you always feel better after a little conversation with God.
当你跟神有一些对话之后，你总是会感觉好一些。
Okay, next paragraph. I'm going to read the next 2 paragraphs.
还要读下面两段圣灵。
OK
I'm actually going to read the next 3.
OK，
Okay. The problem of sin is not self-existent in the finite world. The fact of finiteness is not evil or sinful. The finite world was made by an infinite creator. It is the handiwork of his divine sons, and therefore it must be good. It is the misuse, distortion, and perversion of the finite that gives origin to evil and sin. Next paragraph. The spirit can dominate mind, so mind can control energy, but mind can control energy only through its own intelligent manipulation of the metamorphic potentials inherent in the mathematical level of the causes and effects of the physical domains. Creature mind is, that's such a Urantia book type sentence. Creature mind does not inherently control energy. That is a deity prerogative. But creature mind can and does manipulate energy, just insofar as it has become master of the energy secrets of the physical universe. When man wishes to modify physical reality, be it himself or his environment, he succeeds to the extent that he has discovered the ways and means of controlling matter and directing energy. Unaided mind is impotent to influence anything material save its own physical mechanism, with which it is inescapably linked. But through the intelligent use of the body mechanism, mind can create other mechanisms, even energy relationships and living relationships, by the utilization of which this mind can increasingly control and even dominate its physical level in the universe. Wow, wow, wow.
好的。
Okay.
罪的问题在有限的世界并非独自存在的，有限性本身并非邪恶或有罪，有限的世界是由一个无限的造物主造出来的。 它是他圣子们的造物，因此它一定是好的。对有限的误用、歪曲和颠倒，才是邪恶和罪孽的源头。灵性可以支配心智，心智可以控制能量，但心智只能通过对物理领域的因果、数学层面固有的变质潜能进行智能操纵来控制能量。受造物的心智本身无法控制能量，这是神灵的特权。但是，只要受造物的心智掌握了物质宇宙能量的秘密，它就能够，而且确实在操纵能量。当人类希望改变物质实相，无论是改变自己还是环境，只有发现控制物质和引导能量的方法和手段，它才能成功。单凭心智本身无法影响任何物质，除了它自身不可避免与之相连的身体机制之外。但通过巧妙地利用身体机制，心智可以创造其他机制，甚至是能量关系和生命关系。通过利用这些机制，心智可以越来越多地控制，甚至支配它在宇宙中的物质层面。Okay,
Okay,
Heidi,
thank you.
thank you.
Go ahead. Okay,
I'm done.
okay. Basically, those 3 paragraphs are just to sum it. I'll talk a little about it, but to sum it up, we're talking about mind over matter.
这3段呢，相当于总结起来就是相当于就是心智决定物质。
They're saying in the previous paragraphs, they told us that the problem of sin was because of this dual nature of the spiritual and the physical trying to work together in one being.
罪的，他就第1段讲罪的问题，就是在于我们的2元的那个本性，对，灵性的和物质的这2重性。
And here they're explaining that the sin is not self-existent in the finite world. The fact of I'm reading, the fact of finiteness is not evil or sinful. The finite world was made by an infinite creator. It is the handiwork of the gods, and therefore it must be good. They're saying, don't think the finite world is sinful. No, it's that relationship between the finite and the spiritual and our free will making decisions that creates the potential for sin. The finite world by itself is never sinful. It's the work of God.
对，他就是讲到这个有限性世界哈，本身是并非邪恶或有罪的，而是或者说对它不是原来就存在的。那么实际上是这个受造物，因为它有这自由的意志所以呢，才对这个误用歪曲颠倒，然后造成的。
And the last sentence says, it is when we use our minds to misuse, distort, and perverse the finite. That is where, that is what creates the potential of evil and sin. And we see that all around us. We see evil people misusing, distorting, and perverting the finite.
对，就是它这个有限世界本身，因为是圣子的造物嘛，它本身原来是好的，但是就是人的用这个头脑，用这个心智，它这个操纵、误用歪曲，然后才造成了罪和恶。
They are evil people, or even even people making big mistakes who aren't evil but are making mistakes to one extent or another, they're not working with an evil material world. They're working with a perfectly good material world, and they're using their will to create evil. They're making things evil themselves. If they left everything alone, there would be no evil on the world.
对，那些的不同程度的犯错误的或者犯罪的人，那么他们就是用他们扭曲的心智，然后扭曲这个原来完美的这个物质世界，然后造出这些罪来。
And then the next paragraph is it says, the spirit can dominate mind, so mind can control energy. And okay, I'll let you say that.
对，那么第四6.4呢，第一句话是灵性支配心智，而心智可以控制能量，这样一个梯级的关系。
We in English, and I'm guessing you also have it in Chinese, there's a very, very common statement that says mind over matter.
他说在英文世界当中，或者有可能，在中文可能也有一个说法，就是心智高于物质。
Do you have that in Chinese?
I'm sure.
Do you have an expression like that, mind over matter?
对他问我们在中文当中有个说法是心智高于物质吗？
Ricky, I'm asking you.
I'm not sure. I think we are from atheist culture. We always view the matter actually control our mind. We are going to recognize how the world works. So we feel like matter goes first. Mind is just to try to interpret how the world working.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
Opposite. We view it opposite. We never feel our mind is surpassing or over the matter.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, we in the West, we have totally on one level, because people say it's a very common phrase, but they don't really think about what they're saying until you get into the law of attraction, and then you start thinking about what that actually means. But we all say it. It's a very common expression.
他问我们有没有，我就说我们是来自无神论的教育和文化，我们认为这个客观，我们相信客观高于我们的主观，我们主观只能认识客观。我跟他讲的。他就说到那个吸引力法则其实就是一个具体的体现，就是体现这个心智高于物质这样的一个原理，心智先要启动，然后物质才能显化嘛。他是提到吸引力法则。OK。
So we're all very, very in the West. We're all very aware of the expression mind over matter. It's very common, but we live our lives, most people, most of the time, live our lives as if that weren't true.
对，当然在西方现在大家都只认可这样的一个灵性的法则，但是呢，实际上我们在实际生活当中却往往是相反的，沿着相反的这原则来行事的。
And here they're explaining in this sentence, in this paragraph, they're really explaining this phenomenon.
这个段落呢，相当于就解释这样的一个现象。
And so it starts by saying this, well, before I say that, I always say, mind over matter, but spirit over mind.
我总是说心智控制能量，但是呢，灵性是支配心智的。
Now, I'm talking about frequency, energy, and power.
我指的是这个频率啊、能量啊、能力啊。
So I'm saying the mind is more powerful than matter. It's a higher frequency. It dominates. And it doesn't always, but it can. It has that potential.
他就说那个心智能够控制能量，控制物质。对，心智控制物质，因为心智在更高的频率上。
But the spirit, and spiritual reality is an even higher frequency. So it dominates and has the power to control and dominate mind.
灵性呢，它是在这个实相是在更高的频率，它是可以控制心智的。
That's why people who have very, very strong connections to their minds and a very positive relationship with their minds, you see them, they influence the world around them. They dominate their life. They get what they want. They control things to a great extent.
那么有很高的灵性力量、能力的人呢，他们往往就是比较正面的思考、正面的思想，他们可以掌控他们的生活。
But when you connect to your spirit, or a spiritual influence comes into your life and dominates, then anything is possible. That's when miracles can very easily happen.
对，那么这个如果你跟你的灵性联系紧密的话，你实际上你可以显化任何的事情，很多的奇迹可以发生。
Because spirit is the highest frequency.
那个灵性是最高的，更高的一个频率。
And there must be increasing love. This is me talking, right? Not the book. There must be increasingly high levels of spirit until you finally get to the very, very highest frequency, and that would be God.
对，他就说他在说话，这个就是你往上那个频率逐渐的增高、提高就提高到神的那个频率。
And nothing in all the universe would even come. I don't want to say come close, because there's some pretty high spiritual beings, but nothing in all the universe would have the power and control over everything else that God has.
对，那么宇宙当中很少有这个灵性存有那样的能力和控制力，就是像神一样，就是他是有能力和控制所有的一切的。
But we can look around us and see that God very rarely uses his phenomenal power. He created everything, and he lets things work themselves out. He lets everything just unfold on its own. He very rarely interferes with his own creation.
神创造了一切，但是他很少就是用这个他创造的能力去掌控那个万物，他让那些万物自己就是来自发的用他们的能力。
So that is the great irony, is that the less we want to control, the less we want to use our power, the more power we have.
这个讽刺的点在于，我们越少的控制，实际上我们越有能力。
And the more
越少的掌控，就是越少去掌控其实我们越能力越大。
And the more spiritual we become, the more powerful we become, the less we want to control other people and events.
那么我们越属灵呢，就实际上我们越有能力，但是我们越少想去控制其他的人和事。
But now back to the paragraph.
那现在回到这个段落。
So spirit, so they're saying, so they don't say spirit does dominate mind. It can't. They're saying spirit can dominate mind. It has the power. Doesn't mean it does. It can. There's a difference.
他这一句，他这个海蒂是个语言学家哈，他看到这个，他用的是可以灵性可以支配心智，但是他不是说 does dominate，他不是说一定去控制灵性可以，但他不一定说每次他都是去支配、去控制心智。
And mind can control energy. It has that power, that ability. It can control energy, but most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time energy just flows and the mind just thinks and they stay in their own lanes. But mind can control energy, has the power.
对，那个第二句心智可以控制能量，但是并不是说一定每次都是去控制能量，那么这能量可以允许它自由的流动。
Now, this next sentence is where I laughed a little bit and said, this is such a Urantia book sentence. So the next sentence is very Urantia book. It says, but mind can control energy only through its own intelligent manipulation of the metamorphic potentials inherent in the mathematical level of the causes and effects of the physical domains.
下一句话非常的具有预览下之书的意味，那个很长的、很抽象的这一句，心智只能通过对物理领域的因果数学层面固有的变质潜能进行智能操纵来控制能量。
So let's try to figure that one out.
然后我们来试图理解一下这句话。
The beginning is easy, but mind can control energy only through its own intelligent manipulation.
那第一句第一部分还好理解一点，就是心智通过控制，怎么样控制能量，通过智能性的操纵。
So we're saying that that basically that tells us that we have to have the will to control energy. It's not just going to happen. We have to use our intelligence to manipulate something.
它就是我们要先有这个意志去控制去干预。
So what do we have to intelligently manipulate to control energy?
那我们怎么样进行智能操纵来控制能量？
The metamorphic potentials inherent in the mathematical levels of the causes and effects of the physical domains. And we'll try to take that apart.
对，通过对物理领域的因果数学层面固有的变质潜能。
First, I'm just going to look one thing up. Metamorphic. It's not a word I use very often.
我说那个 metamorphic 变性变质。
So it says it says metamorphic metamorphism. Okay, hold on. What am
Metamorphism 变态 Yeah, it is like the butterfly is created from the cocoon. It's a metamorphism 变态嘛，我就举个例子，就是蝴蝶可以从虫子变成茧，从茧里边就钻出蝴蝶，这就是一个变态，一个 metamorphism 的一个例子，这是我给他举的例子。
They use it a lot when they're talking about rocks.
在这个石头方面也用过这个词。
So when it it has to do with metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis.
Yeah, it has to do with metamorphosis, which is when a physical structure changes over. But here it says, wow, metamorphosis is the change of physical form or structure, especially by supernatural means. A striking alteration in appearance, character, or circumstances, typically marked and more or less abrupt developmental change in the form or structure of an animal, such as a butterfly or frog, occurring subsequent to birth or hatching. It's like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. That's a perfect example of a metamorphosis. It's when you change from one thing to another, but you're still the same thing.
对，他就是说，往往这东西在超自然的影响下的一种变态，比如说那个青蛙呀，从那个蝌蚪变成青蛙，或者是这个毛虫变蝴蝶。
So for instance, marble is a metamorphic rock, and it's formed when existing rock, like limestone, is physically or chemically transformed by high heat without actually melting. So just like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, limestone, which is, a pretty nice but normal rock, can become this beautiful marble.
还有就是像那个石灰石，它在高温之下会变成大理石。
So marble is a metamorphic rock because it's a rock that was one kind of rock and now has become a completely different kind of rock.
对，那么石灰石是一种石头，然后在一种状态下嘛，就是变成了大理石，那个是同一个东西，但是变态了嘛。
So it says, mind can control energy only through its own intelligent manipulation of the metamorphic potentials inherent in the mathematical level of, okay, so they're talking about so they're talking about when a mind dominates or controls material, that you're controlling the metamorphic potential of the material. So the material has to have the material automatically has the potential to metamorphosize, to transcend itself, to become something else, to change. And it's saying that the mind can be the thing that changes. So you have to understand that you're not just erasing something or turning it into something else. You're tuning into the potentials of the material to metamorphosize into something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 那么就是心智怎么样来控制物质？那么这个物质本身它得有这个变态的潜能，变质变态的潜能。那么然后心智才能够这个通过它的这种操纵能力，然后让它变成另外的。
So all material things at its basic level is built on a kind of mathematical structure.
它的基础的是，层面上物质体都是由这个数学结构来构成的。
And the material world is created by causes and effects. Everything happens in the material world, everything happens for a reason. You have a cause, something happens, and then there's an effect of that thing.
这个数学层面，它是属于他说那个物质都是由那个因果，它是我也不知道他在讲什么。
So if you fully understood these causes and effects of the material world on a mathematical level, then you can more easily manipulate the metamorphic potentials within those material things. So this is just very Urantia, but to simplify it, you wouldn't have to necessarily understand all of the mathematical levels of cause and effect, like the atomic structure and what caused it and all these things, because but if you did, you would more easily be able to, well, even scientists manipulate material things all the time intentionally, but let's not get too dragged into this.
那个实际上这是我Ricky 在说话，实际上这一部分那个去读赛斯的书比较更有帮助。这个月亮下之书它只是一个，它总括的这么说，但是赛斯的资料他就把这个意识的创造的过程给非常的详尽。那个他就说那个科学家他也是通过操纵这个物理层面的这些的那个进行创造，进行一种改造。但是呢，心智实际上不需要了解这些的原理，就能够进行智能操纵。
I think someone with a great scientific mind would probably understand that sentence perfectly.
Pardon? Did you say?
I said, I'm not sure, but I think that someone with a great scientific mind would probably understand that sentence perfectly.
他说有科学头脑的人有可能会对这个句子了解更多。
I don't have such a mind.
他说我没有这个头脑来理解这个。
But
does it mean? Does it mean if someone who understand better the science and technology will manipulate better than the material world than other people?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because the next couple sentences it say something a little differently.
I think the 5th and the 6th talk about.
Yeah. I think if we move on, well, let's move on and then we can go back to that sentence, because that's just a very tricky sentence.
Okay.
But we can go back to it, but let's move on. Okay. So the next sentence is, creature mind does not inherently control energy. That's what we said before. Your mind can control energy or physical reality. It can. It doesn't automatically.
这个是受到物的心智本身无法控制能量，但
So they're saying that is a deity prerogative. In other words, spiritual beings automatically do control, or it's very easy for spiritual beings to control the material.
神灵的特权，那么这是神灵的特权，就对神灵来说，它控制能量是非常容易的。
But creature mind can and does manipulate energy just as much as it becomes master of the energy secrets of the physical universe. Okay, so that sentence that we were trying to deconstruct, that sentence is talking about the energy secrets of the physical universe. And this last sentence is saying creature mind, mortal mind, our minds, manipulate energy as much as they become a master of the physical secrets of the material universe. But then I'll say something else about that.
最后一句说，只要塑造物心智掌握了物质宇宙能量的秘密，它就能够而且确实在操纵能量。
So what they're telling us is that we can and we will learn the secrets of the physical universe, and the more we learn them, the more we'll be able to control energy. That's what they're saying.
那就是说，我们塑造物心智其实是可以学习那个能量的秘密，然后来掌握操纵能量。
But now I'm adding this, but we see certain yogis and certain spiritual beings and certain miraculous events where energy is controlled. But in those cases, you're going one step, if a person is doing it, they're connecting to spirit to do that, or spirit, some kind of spiritual influence is just doing it. What they're telling us here, and what is tricky about it, is they're telling us that even without spirit, mind can do it, but they have to understand the secrets of the physical universe to control them. But I'm saying, but when we see it happen, that's because, and by someone who doesn't understand the physical secrets of the secrets of the physical universe, that's because spirit is involved. That's what I'm saying.
那有一些的瑜伽士啊，可以行一些神迹啊，那些的案例中，那么他就是实际上他要连接到灵性的力量，或者在灵性的影响下，才能够实现的。那么他就说，那头脑或者心智，它也可以达到的一些的那个操纵能量的。
But they're telling us here that within, okay, this is actually,
就是那I haven't finished，就是
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah，他就是他有时候他也能达成的一些能量操纵，他就是可能他没有他自己主观的没有连接灵性，但实际上是灵性的影响，就是也参与到其中的，就是总之就是肯定有灵性的参与。
But what they're really telling us is that in every order of existence, there's always secret potential to become something else, to metamorphosize into another order of existence.
对，他说在每一种存在存有的级别当中，就是其实都是想要变成另外的一个存有，另外的一个那个，这也是一种变态。那么我们对我就想着，就我们从物质变到灵质，变到灵性，也是一个变态的过程，都是包括能量的操纵。
People who become very, very spiritual beings on this world, they do that because they understand the spiritual potentials, the metamorphic potentials in the material person. and they know how to manipulate those potentials to become more spiritual.
对，那么我们这个在物质世界实际上也是有很多人变得很灵性，那么他们就是意识到自己的更加灵智化的这个潜力啊，然后呢，主动的就是操纵这个灵性的能量，对，就可以达成了。
So we have to keep thinking that this very dull, plain stone, limestone, can become this beautiful marble. And these crawling little wormy caterpillars can become these exquisite butterflies. So that's inherent in nature. That's without any spiritual influence whatsoever.
对，那么像那个毫没有光泽的这个一般的这个石灰石，它能够转变成大理石。那个毛毛虫呢，很丑陋的毛毛虫变成美丽的蝴蝶，那这样的一种变态的潜能是蕴含在我们这些塑造物当中的，都是可以接受灵性影响来进行变态的。
So within the very basic, fundamental levels of matter, material things, there is the law of cause and effect, and within those laws, you just have to know the right cause to get the right effect. So it is possible to really get almost any effect from anything if you know the right cause.
那它有一个基本的那个原理，就是所有的物质，就是如果掌握了那个因果的定律啊，你找到正确的因，就能造出正确的果。
Now there have already been many great scientists on Earth who were making discoveries in these areas.
他说有一些的科学家也有这些方面的重大的发现。
One scientist that we know about in America and that we're starting to appreciate more and more with passing time is Tesla. His last name was Tesla.
有一个就是科学家，其实是发明家哈，那个特斯拉那个人。
And he spent his lifetime doing exactly this, studying the potential, the metamorphic potentials contained within physical matter.
对，他就是穷尽毕生的精力来研究物质的这种变态的潜能。
He said that he discovered an energy source that was abundant and free, that could power everything on earth.
他说这个物质的能量呢，其实是非常的丰富和免费的，可以就是供全世界的人来用。
Now the Urantia book confirms that by saying that there is another energy source that we haven't discovered yet.
预言下之书也说有另外的一个巨大的能量的来源，我们还没有发现。
Now, all or most of the predictions in the Urantia book, the scientific predictions, have come true already.
预言下之书好多的预言，它实际上都已经实现了。
Throughout the book, they're talking about things that were not known when this book was written, but many of those things are now known.
就是当这本书就是出版，它是50年代出版的时候还不知道，还没有的，他描述的这些，但是这些都已经出现了。 现在都已经出现了。
So so that's that's that. So just to sum it up, they're basically saying when we know how to when we know how to master that we will be able to manipulate material energy when we become aware of the energy secrets of the physical universe.
对，哎，就是当我最后一句是什么？我们只要受到我的心智掌握了物质宇宙能量的秘密，它就能够而且确实在操纵能量。
So Shenli, are you okay with that? Yeah, Shenli.
Yeah, it's quite complicated, and it does not tell the details. So I think I'm okay with this.
I think it would take like a whole book, a whole scientific book to explain how to do that. But they're telling us it can be done.
Yeah. I think there's two ways to manipulate for the mind to manipulate the material world. One is to follow the cause and effect law, and another is to discover the energy secret of the universe.
Okay,
Is that right?
oh, wait, Ricky, will you translate some of that with what we just said?
沈丽说，他说两种方式来控制物质能量，一种是认识到因果律，另外一个是啥？我也没有。
另外一个就是掌握这个宇宙能量的秘密，就是这种，就是像神灵一样，能够随意的操纵这个物质能量。
Yeah,
就掌
Shenli,
握能
所有的
量的秘密。
能量控制都是灵性的，都是灵性层面的，都是看不见的层面的，对吧？
就这两种方法来控制物质能量。
So I think what Shenli, I think there are two ways, but the two ways you mentioned are the same way.
Yeah, all have to
yeah.
influence.
Yeah, those are the same way. The other way is when you connect to spiritual, which is transcends mind altogether, so definitely transcends the physical.
对，它就是相当于说两种方式控制能量，一种就是那个你心智能够调动那个灵性的力量、灵性的影响，另外一个大概是什么？是说心智要是掌握了物质宇宙能量的秘密，它也能确实能操纵能量，就是那它就是最终来讲，它也是要调动灵性的能量。
对。
所以他掌握了秘密嘛，掌握了秘密，他不主动的，好像一种是他主动的邀请，就是在他心智成为一个管道而已。另外一个是心智他不要求那个他说我知道怎么做，对吧？你不用教我也不用
实际上是用的同一种力量。
实际上他也是他所谓应用自己的，就像前面说的，他觉得很自豪很骄傲，我能做了，实际上不是他那个，实际上是。对他认为他那个好像
非常用的同一种力量，就是都是灵性的力量。
信心那种不恐惧，其实这些都是从更高的级别来的，更高的层次来的，并不是我们心智层面的。他认为是他自己的能力，他自己的信心，实际上不是的。所以我们这人就容易僭越，容易犯僭越的毛病。你科学家也是啊，他能造出原子弹来。对不对？它也操纵了物质的能量嘛，是不是 ？Yeah, okay, yeah.
The Urantia book explains that there's no such thing really as a miracle. Everything that we call a miracle is just something that's happening scientifically, that we don't understand.
对，那这实际上世界上哪有什么奇迹啊？我们都是科学认为这个是神迹的事情啊，其实根本不是什么神迹奇迹。
So when a spiritual influence changes something material, even if it's just healing a sick person through a spiritual force, it's not really a miracle. What's really happening is they're telling us that within physical matter, there's the potential for metamorphosis, for change. On a scientific level, a spiritual being can just make that happen, but it's actually happening on a physical scientific level. That's what they're explaining here, really.
对，就是灵性的影响可以改变物质的形态，那么就包括说那个说那是奇迹般的那些人得到疗愈啊什么，那个就实际上物质的物质本身它就存在这个变态变化的这个可能和潜力。所以它是可以被灵性的就更高频率的这个影响所变化的。
So when we're talking about, even when the law of attraction is not really a spiritual thing, it's really a mind over matter thing.
他说那个吸引力法则，说实在，它不是什么灵性法则，它实际上就是一个意识决定物质的这么一个反应。
Sometimes it's a spiritual thing, but it doesn't it's the law still applies even when it's not even when it doesn't have spiritual influences or far less.
对，那个不懂灵性，但是吸引力法则它依然起作用。
But what this paragraph is telling us is that it's only possible for miracles to happen because of the mathematical structure and the fact that the material universe is built on these laws of cause and effect. In other words, no effect can happen without a cause, even if it, so when a spiritual influence changes material things, there's actually physical metamorphosis happening on a scientific level. I know I said that before, but I'm saying it again because if we don't try to understand this, then we'd say, well, this is saying one thing, the law of attraction is saying another thing, and then there's miracles. And what I'm saying is they're all the same thing.
都是没有效果，可以产生。如果没有原因，那么就是相当于这个物质的变态，它都是有这个受这个因果的制约的。
So what I'm saying is that when you're talking about the material world, you can theoretically get to the same have the same effect if you scientifically understand the causes like Tesla, or if you pray and use and connect to a more powerful spiritual influences, sometimes you can have the same effect, or a spiritual being might make it happen and it might seem to us like a miracle, but it would be the same scientific thing happening. It might just happen instantly.
对，总的操控这个物质世界，达到一定的效果，但是你通过祷告，有的时候，你借用了更有能力的影响，对，更是高层的影响，那么得到同样的结果，对，从科学层面来讲都是一样的。 科学原理来讲。
Okay, next paragraph. When man, this one we read already. When man wishes to modify physical reality, be it himself or his environment, he succeeds to the extent that he has discovered the ways and means of controlling matter and directing energy. I'm going to read on because it'll explain that sentence. Unaided mind is impotent to influence anything material save its own physical mechanism with which it is inescapably linked. But through the intelligent use of the body mechanism, mind can create other mechanisms, even energy relationships and living relationships, by the utilization of which this mind can increasingly control and even dominate its physical. So that's saying that we can't really control anything in the physical universe except our own self, because we're connected to that self.
他就说心智啊没办法影响任何物质，除了这个身体之外，因为这个身体跟我们是与之相连的。
But by using our physical mechanism, we can create other mechanisms, and even the relationships between ourself and these other mechanisms. Hold on. Even energy relationships and living relationships, by the utilization of which this mind can increasingly dominate physical. So we can pretty much control ourselves, nothing else. But we can now use ourselves to form relationships with other things. Maybe they're people, maybe they're some kind of other organisms or entities or physical things. And then through that relationship, we can start controlling other things in our environment.
对，那个然后呢，通过这个身体的机制，可以跟这个周围的人事物啊、物理环境啊产生就是去作用啊，产生影响、控制能量。
So it's not just the relationship between our mechanism and another mechanism. It's hold on. But through the intelligent use of the body mechanism, mind can create other mechanisms. So even energy relation. So through with our own mechanism, we can create other mechanisms. And when we now we can start using this relationship between ourselves and these other mechanisms we created to have more control of the material around us.
对，就是我们通过控制我们的身体机制，然后创造其他的机制。那么通过这些机制呢，来控制支配这个宇宙层面，宇宙的物质层面。
I
身体
mean,
一个工具嘛，和方法和手段。对，
here's a very simple example.
他来举个例子。
So we could use, we can't control the temperature of the air around us, but we can create a heater, and then the heater, between our use of the heater and the heater, we can control the temperature around us.
举个例子，就是我们没有办法控制周围的空气的温度，那么我们可以用我们这个发明出这个取暖器，用这个取暖器来控制 问空气的温度。
There's certain things we can't do by ourselves, but we can have a child, and that child can grow up, and then they can do it with us.
有些事情我们做不了，但是也有可能我们创造出的孩子也有可能可以做，我们可以跟孩子一起来达成这个目的。
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to read the next few paragraphs. I think I'm going to go all the way to the end. We've already gone past 2 hours, but everyone's still here. Just Ricky, ask them if they have a little more steam in them to go another 25 minutes, or if they want to stop now.
你就讲完吧。You can finish it.
Yeah, because I don't want to lose people. Yeah, I don't want to lose people, but they're all still here. So let's just say we're going to go till we're 25 minutes more.
大概25分钟吧，他争取把这一节讲完。
Okay, I'm going to read to the end of this section. Science is the source of facts, and mind cannot operate without facts. They are the building blocks in the construction of wisdom, which are cemented together by life experience. Man can find the love of God without facts, and a man can discover the laws of God without love. But man can never begin to appreciate the infinite symmetry, the supernal harmony, the exquisite repleteness of the all-inclusive nature of the first source and center until he has found divine law and divine love, and has experientially unified these in his own evolving cosmic philosophy. The expansion of material knowledge permits a greater intellectual appreciation of the meanings of ideas and the values of ideals. A human being can find truth in his inner experience, but he needs a clear knowledge of facts to apply his personal discovery of truth to the ruthlessly practical demands of everyday life. It is only natural that mortal man should be harassed by feelings of insecurity as he views himself inextricably bound to nature, while he possesses spiritual powers wholly transcendent to all these things, temporal and finite. Only religious confidence, living faith, can sustain man amid such difficult and perplexing problems. Of all the dangers which beset man's mortal nature and jeopardize his spiritual integrity, pride is the greatest. Courage is valorous, but egotism is vainglorious and suicidal. Reasonable self-confidence is not to be deplored. Man's ability to transcend himself is the one thing which distinguishes him from the animal kingdom. Pride is deceitful, intoxicating, and sin-breeding, whether found in an individual, a group, a race, or a nation. It is literally true. Pride goes before a fall. And that's a quote from the Bible. Pride goes before a fall. Okay, Shenley, I'm done with that section.
沈丽，从6.6吧。From 6:7 or 6:6?
From science is the source
Science.
of facts.
Okay,
科学是事实的源头，心智没有事实就无法运作。这些事实是构建智慧的建筑砌块，生命经验把这些砌块连接在一起。人类可以在没有事实的情况下找到神的爱，人类也可以在没有爱的情况下 发现神的法则。但是，人类在找到神性法则和神性的爱，并且在自己不断演化的宇宙哲学中，经验性的统一这些之前，永远无法开始欣赏第一本源和中心的无限对称性、超凡的和谐，以及其无所不包之本质的精妙圆满。物质知识的扩展，使人更能智性地理解想法的意义和理想的价值。一个人也可以在他的内心体验中找到真理，但他需要清晰的事实知识，使他个人对真理的发现应用于日常生活中无情的实际需求。凡人被不安全感所困扰是很自然的，因为他看到自己与自然有着千丝万缕的联系，但同时又拥有完全超越一切时间性、有限性事物的灵性力量。只有虔诚的信心、鲜活的信仰，才能让人面临如此艰难和令人困惑的问题，仍坚守下去。在困扰人类的道德本性、危及它的灵性完整性的所有危险中，傲慢是最大的危险。勇气是可贵的，但自我中心是虚荣和自我毁灭的。合理的自信不应被谴责。人类超越自我的能力是其区别于动物界的唯一特征。无论是在个人、群体、种族还是国家中，傲慢都是欺骗性、令人陶醉和滋生罪恶的。骄者必败，这话千真万确。OK， 海蒂，就是走开了。
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, did you see Shenli had talked about the ego?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that it,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah,
ego.
same thing. So so in this last section they're telling us well, they're ending up with the same warning, I would say, that they gave us in the first paragraph about, you know, you can learn to dominate the physical reality more and more and to become more and more spiritual, but the most important thing that will get in your way is your pride. It says and I'll go back to the beginning, but it says at the end, it says of all the dangers that beset man's mortal nature and jeopardize his spiritual integrity, pride is the greatest. They're saying courage is great, but egotism is suicidal. Reasonable self-conscious. Oh, okay, I'll let you translate.
对，他就再一次提到这个人类自我，如果是太傲慢了，那么太自傲了、自骄了，那的危害。那么他先提到这个有69嘛，111.6.9围绕在困扰人类的凡人本性，危及他的灵性完整性的所有危险中，傲慢是最大的危险。勇气是可贵的，但自我中心是虚荣和自我毁灭的。
They're
这个
saying
让我想到 ，sorry，
okay.
sorry，这让我想到那个路西法，就是他就是很傲慢，
对。Yeah, Cindy mentioned that this paragraph reminded her about Lucifer's rebellion.
rebellion，哎呀，
Yeah, and you know what's good to remember is that Lucifer was a very high spiritual being. He wasn't a mortal. He was very, very advanced being, and he still succumbed to pride and ego.
对，路西佛是一个非常高的灵性的存有，非常非常高级的存有。但是呢，他还是被这个骄傲啊，这个自大呀所征服了。
But we don't have to be afraid of becoming very high spiritual beings and then succumbing to pride and ego, because by the time we become high spiritual beings, we'll already be merged with our thought adjusters. And once we're merged with our thought adjusters, never betray God, because we are part God.
对，我们不用担心，我们成为越来越属灵之后，就是走偏，因为我们那个时候早就跟那个思想调整者已经融合了。那时候我们就是部分的神，所以我们不会那个犯那个路西弗的那个错误。
But until we merge with our thought adjusters, even when we're living on the Marancha worlds, the one thing that can kill us, that our biggest thing to be concerned about, is our ego, our pride.
对，融合。那么，即使是我们只续存到了宰下世界那个灵智体嘛，宰下世界，那我们仍然有可能那个小我啊，就是个人的这种的骄傲，仍然有可能是扼杀我们灵性的一个最大的敌人吧。
The very last paragraph, that it's just 2 sentences. It says, this is good for us to pay attention to. It says, pride is deceitful, intoxicating, and sin breeding, whether found in an individual, a group, a race, or a nation.
对，它就是60，就是这一部分最后一句话说，无论是在个人、群体、种族还是国家中，傲慢都是欺骗性、令人陶醉和滋生罪恶的。
So what does that mean? Pride is deceitful, intoxicating. It means that pride is tricky. It will fool us. We will be caught up in our ego and pride, and it will deceive others, but it will also deceive ourselves. It's a very tricky thing, pride. We can be completely egotistical and convince ourselves that we're humble.
对，这个骄傲哈，非常的有欺骗性，就是会把我们都骗过，骗了别人也骗了自己，有可能我们还以为我们自己非常的谦虚呢。
Not only is it tricky and deceitful, they say it's intoxicating. So the more proud you get, the more it takes over you. It's a delicious feeling to be proud of yourself, to wallow in your ego. It's enjoyable. It makes you feel good. So you have to be very, very careful with the ego, because it's tricky and intoxicating.
他这个还在于他是这个骄傲非常令人陶醉的。就是你越骄傲呢，你就是相当于越觉得好吃，觉得很享受啊。你在小我当中会非常的享受，所以这个它是令人陶醉的，非常的这个
And what happens with intoxicating substances? 1, you can get addicted. You want more and more. And 2, you can't think clearly. You can't make the right decision. You think you are. You think you're making wonderful decisions when you're drunk or on drugs, but you're making terrible decisions.
Yeah，那么是想用毒品，它的这个特征啊，就是你想要更多，对吧？然后呢，第二点就是你没有办法的很清楚的思考，做出明智的决定。你喝醉了，你认为你做出的是明智的决定，但实际上不是。
So it's like having a big ego is like being drunk on your own love for yourself.
对，那个有一个非常大的小我，就像一个醉 醉汉，那么对自己非常的珍爱。
So then someone with a huge ego will often disguise that by 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 acting humble. So they're fooling, and then they may just want to fool everyone else, but most likely they're also fooling themselves.
对，那么有巨大的小我的人，他可能也是很擅长掩盖，好像表现得非常的谦逊，就是他欺骗了自己，欺骗了别人。
So letting your ego dominate your will and your mind is not only dangerous to yourself, but to everyone around you.
对，您如果是有一个让那个小我控制了心智，就是非常危险的，对自己和对别人都非常危险。
So how do we know if our ego is getting out of control?
我们怎么知道我们的小我已经不受控制了呢？
One way is an ego makes you want to control other people. It makes you want to control outcomes. It makes you want to control everything around you.
嗯，对，一个特征呢，就是你小我太大了，他就是很有意愿想要掌控他人啊，掌控结果呀，掌控周围的人事物啊。
And ego craves power.
小我，并且非常的对权力啊，特别的那个渴望。
You see, spiritual reality is a much, much greater power. Now, the ego prevents you from being spiritual, so it craves that power that it would have by becoming more spiritual. So it tries to compensate by controlling more and more material around itself, and more people and things, because it's becoming less and less powerful, really, because it's becoming less and less spiritual. So it's trying to make up for that by controlling things.
哦，对，那个灵性的实相，它是更有大能的，但是呢，你的自我太大，你其实没有办法达到那个灵性的实相。那是为了弥补这个不足呢，那么这个小我就会更多的想要掌控人事物，来获得体现那样的一种大能感。
That's why you see these, these egotistical people. First, they buy one big mansion with 30 rooms, but that's not enough. Now they need 3 mansions with 50 rooms, but that's not enough. They're still craving. Now they need a yacht. They all get yachts. Do they even spend time on these yachts? And then they want an island. Now they want to own their own island.
嗯。这些自我很大的人，他们首先想要有一个大的房子，有豪宅，有30个房间的。然后呢，他们希望有一个三处这样的豪宅，每一个都有50个房间的。然后呢，他们就要有自己的船啊，到最后还要有一个岛啊，属于自己的岛啊。
Now the yacht and every single house has its own staff of people running them.
对，每个房子都要有一个团队来操作这个房子，维护这个。
Sure. Every time you buy something else that big, it requires lawyers and paperwork and managers and negotiations and people managing the people who manage the property. Think of all the time and administration involved in managing all these things you have.
你想呢，就是它就是这么复杂的 这个财富系统，那么他就要雇人来管理啊，有律师啊，有很多的文件呐、有各种的谈判呐、要有这个管理人员来管理管房子的人啊。
So now, instead of enjoying your life and learning to manage your own thoughts and your own spiritual development, you're spending incredible amounts of time managing all the things you own.
对，那这样的话，你就是没有办法，就是过很清静的生活，你追求自己的属灵的生活，那么你要花费很大的精力去来管理这些外在的这些事物。
And this is not necessarily pleasant or enjoyable.
对，这个不一定是非常令人愉悦的。
So you say, I want to be rich and powerful so that I can do all the things I love doing.
那你有可能你说我想变得富有和强大，那来这个掌控我想要做的事情。
And then when you're rich and powerful, you spend most of your time managing all the things you bought.
但是呢，你真正变得富有强大的时候，你就变成了花很多的时间来管理你所拥有的。
That's why it is true that there are more happy poor people than happy rich people.
这就是为什么有很多快乐的穷人多于这个快乐的富人。
So, but all of that is really just about ego. They only want all those things because they think that that defines who they are. I'm the guy with the yacht. I'm the guy with the mansion. I'm the guy with 20 cars.
对，这就是他们有可能认为这个就是他们的自我定义，他们的所是啊，我是那个拥有大豪宅的人，我是那个拥有那个拥有那个拥有。
And there's nothing wrong with having a nice car, a nice house, maybe 2 houses. There's nothing wrong with having beautiful things, but it's a matter of, do you worship those things? Do you think that has anything to do with who you are? Are you the person who is that part of your identity? Do you think God looks at you, your thought adjuster, and is, wow, I'm really impressed you have 5 mansions?
对，那么当然没有错误，就是说你拥有好一点的车跟房子，你是不是敬拜这些的这些东西？是你是不是认为这些的物质的东西定义你的所是，你的身份那神，你内在的神，这样调整者看你的时候是看你有5个大房子吗？
Jesus, we'll see in the Jesus papers, Jesus made it very clear. There's nothing wrong with having money, even a certain amount of power. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a matter of who do you worship? Do you worship your things, your money, or do you worship God?
对，那耶稣啊，我们第4部分应该能读到吧？耶稣他也就是说，你有钱啊，你富有啊，或者有权利啊，都不是错误，但是都没有什么问题的。对，但是问题在于你敬拜什么，你敬拜谁？
And I'm only talking about this stuff because we're talking about egos and pride, and egos and pride down this road of worshiping material things to make yourself feel like you're better than others.
我这个就是提到这个就是因为这个跟那个自我跟那小我和这个骄傲有关系的，你们如果你是不是敬拜那个物质主义，敬拜认为那个拥有这些物质的东西是你比别人多出来。
Now, going back to the first paragraph we just read, science is the source of facts and mind cannot operate without facts. They are the building blocks in the construction of wisdom, which are cemented together by life experience. So that's just saying science is facts. We need facts, and to get wisdom, and facts and wisdom, facts are the building blocks in the construction of wisdom. So we need facts to get wisdom, and then that wisdom is cemented together by life experience. So that's what we have. We have scientific facts, and then we combine our wisdom with our life experience.
他回到第6段的第1句，科学是事实的源头。心智没有事实无法运作，这些事实是构建智慧的建筑砌块，生命经验把这些砌块粘结在一起。
And then the next part really talks a little bit about the 7 psychic circles, because when we read about the 7 psychic circles, we were reading about the balance. We're saying you can be overly spiritual, you can be overly intellectual, you want a nice balance. And that's what they're talking about in this next part.
那下几句呢，就是跟我们以前读到的7个心灵圆圈有关系。我们不能够过分的属灵，也不能够过分的物质化，我们要找到中间的一个平衡。
They're saying you can experience the love of God without any facts, and you can discover the laws of God, which are the laws of science, without any love. But you can never appreciate the whole thing. Hold on. Until you learn to appreciate the symmetry, the synthesis between the two.
对，那个人类可以在没有事实的情况下找到神的爱，也可以在没有爱的情况下发现神的法则。但是呢，人类在找到神性法则、神性的爱，并且在自己不断演化的宇宙哲学中经验性的统一这些之前，永远无法开始欣赏第一本源和中心的无限对称性、超凡的和谐，以及其无所不包之本质的精妙圆满。我就把这个再重读了一遍。
In other words, many people who want to be more spiritual, they toss aside science. They just focus on the love of God or the love of the universe, and they don't realize that, yes, that there is such a thing as divine love, and they're feeling this divine love. That's fine, but this is saying that science is also divine. The science is created by divine laws. The mathematical laws of the universe are people didn't create math. They discovered math. The entire universe is built on mathematical laws. These are also divine. And so facts are also divine. When it's not just the love of God alone. So we need to combine these things.
对，当然有一些人呢，他是非常属灵的，那么他可能就忽略了科学啊、事实啊。那当然，神的爱是神圣的爱，但是呢，那个科学本身也是神圣的。那么这些的神圣的法则、宇宙的法则，也是就是神的一部分。那么就是智力，就是数学，它是被发现的，它发现的是宇宙的神圣法则。是这样子的。
So we'll never, this is the last thing on this paragraph I'll say, we'll never fully understand the total nature of God, the first source and center, until we become wise and learn about the laws of the universe, as well as become open and learn about the love of God. Yes, to evolve our own we need to evolve a personal cosmic philosophy. And that has to be combined with the love of God and the laws of God, which are the laws of nature.
对，找到神性法则和享受神性的爱，这两个应该是就是平衡的。你变得更有智慧，更懂得宇宙的法则，跟你享受神性的爱，这个是不矛盾的。你只有掌握了神性的法则，你才能更好、更多的珍赏神和本源的那种的精妙圆满，那么也就更能够享受神的爱，珍赏神的爱，就是它是和谐统一的，不能够说你偏向理性，偏向理解科学法则，那么你就好像同时就是说你理解这个法则，你还有这个神的爱，这个是最平衡的。
Many spiritual teachers completely emphasize transcending the material world and just focusing on the spiritual world. But that's not why we're here on a material world.
很多灵性导师呢，就是完全的让你超越这个物质世界啊，但是这个地方说不是这样子的。
They're saying the first sentence of this next paragraph, they're saying the expansion of material knowledge permits a greater intellectual appreciation of the meanings of ideas and values of ideals. So this is all material. This is what we're here to gain, what we're supposed to gain from this life here. We're supposed to expand our material knowledge to, just like we were saying, everything, the metamorphosis inherent in the laws of nature, everything contains a possibility of being something else. We will become more spiritual by mastering the material.
这个6、7第一句啊，物质知识的扩展使人更能智性的理解想法的意义和理想的价值。那么我们在这个世界就是要掌握这个，要不断的扩展自己对物质世界的知识。
Many spiritual teachers want you to just discover the truth in your inner experience.
Discover the truth in your experience.
Yeah.
灵性导师都是就是鼓励在你的个人体验当中发现灵性的实相。
But they don't realize that you also need a clear knowledge of facts, of material knowledge to apply the discovery of truth to the demands of everyday life.
那么他很少给你一个清楚的一个指导，怎么样那个获得物质世界的知识来应用于你每天的生活，应对每天的挑战。
We're living on a very hectic, crazy material world, and we need tools to deal with it. We don't get those tools from the truth of our inner life. That can help us, but we also need the material knowledge and wisdom to be able to deal with our everyday world.
对，我们生活在一个疯狂的，就是混乱的世界，我们需要物质世界的知识来这个过每日的生活。
You can go up on a mountain and get very close to God, but then when you come back and try to live in the city, you might not be able to do it very well, no matter how close you are to God, because you don't have the material tools and skills to cope with all the crazy stuff around you.
对，你可以在山上，住在山上，离神很近，但是呢，你这过到人类的生活，在城市当中，你又缺乏必要的一种工具，去过每天的生活。
And then they're saying it is natural. Oh, wait, are you done?
Yeah.
Then they're saying it is natural that you should be harassed by feelings of insecurity. So you're going to feel confused, insecure, because you're bound to nature. You're trapped in the material, but you possess spiritual feelings that transcend the material. That is a confusing situation to be in. And they're saying it's natural that you're confused. It's natural that this makes you feel insecure.
对，那就是我们经常会感到困惑呀，没有安全感呐。因为我们本来就是困迫在这个物质的世界，但是同时我们的灵性又是想超越的。所以这个两极端会造成我们的很自然的，我们会有不安全感。
You're saying, help! I'm a spirit material body. Help me!
有可能你在想，你在这喊，就是嘿，我是一个属灵的个体，我只是被困迫在物质的世界，快来帮助我。
And they're saying no material knowledge, no facts, no wisdom can help you with this problem.
对，那么没有智慧，没有那个什么可以帮助，在这样的情况下提供帮助。
They're saying only religious confidence, living faith can sustain you with such a difficult problem.
但是说只有虔诚的信心、鲜活的信仰，才能令人困惑的问题能坚守下去。
You have to say, I can't deal with this problem, but with God's help, I can.
对，你可能说我没有办法一个人单独面对解决这些问题，但是有神的帮助我是可以的。
You can say, I don't understand this, but my thought adjuster understands it.
说我不理解这一点，但是我的思想调整者是理解的。
You can say, I can't navigate this bumpy road with all of its potholes and twists and turns and dangers everywhere around me. My spiritual being can't handle this world. But then you can say, but with God's help, with a partnership, I can certainly handle this world.
Yeah，就是我没有办法走这个这么崎岖坎坷的人生之路，这么多的拐弯儿，这么多的危险。那有神的帮助，有神做我的同伴，我可以做到。
You can say, I don't know who I am, what I'm supposed to do, or why I'm here. But God certainly knows. God has.
那我不知道我是谁，我应该做什么，为什么我在这儿？但是呢，我的神他知道。
And then God says, maybe your job is to sparkle.
神对我说，他说，可能你的工作就是点亮火花吧。
With a Taiwanese accent.
呃，那个是台湾人的口音，这是他以前的一个人生的故事里边引用的一句话。
And when you realize your entire job, all you have to do is sparkle, it's not so bad.
当你意识到你的人生的使命就是要点燃火花，那么，好像这个工作也不错。
It's not so hard.
好像没有那么难。Yeah, if that's your mission, you are equipped with the capacities. to do the
No,
job.
it's all of our mission and we are all equipped.
我就说，如果是的确是你的人生使命，那么你做起来不会觉得很难，因为你会配备一切所需要完成使命的那些的能力。
And we all sparkle.
我们都是有点燃火花的这个使命。
The trick, the hard part is just to understand that, to believe that it's true.
对，最难的部分是意识到这个是真理，这个是真相。
And how do we do that? We ask God, help us believe. Dear God, help me believe that I sparkle.
就是求神说 OK， 请你帮助我，让我相信我是要点燃火花的，在人群中点燃火花的。
I sparkle because God is inside me, speaking through me. That's why I sparkle. And if I know that, I don't have to worry about my ego and pride because it's not me, it's God that sparkles.
如果神在里边通过我来说话，我就不会担心我的小我呀，还有自傲啊这些的事情，因为这是他在做。
And when the world is full of people who sparkle, knowing that it's God inside them, sparkling through them, we'll have a much better world.
如果我们的世界上，那么人们都知道他们要点火，并且是神在他们里边通过他们来点火，那么他们这个就是一个更好的世界。
That will be the great metamorphosis of the material world into a beautiful, healthy, balanced combination of material, mental, and spiritual.
对，那么这个就可以把这个世界通过就是变成通过就是转变成一个更健康的一个平衡，就是物质、心智和灵性各方面都比较平衡的世界。
Next week, we're going to read the adjuster's problem. So be prepared. The adjuster's going to be a little rough on us. He's going to tell us why we make him so upset.
那么下周呢，我们读就是调整者的问题，那么要准备好调整者要斥责我们了，就是为什么我们有的时候会让他感到那么的不快。
He's going to say, you think you have it hard. How would you like to be a God trapped inside you?
对，你怎么样？想一个神被你囚禁在你的心里。
He's going to say, stop making my work so difficult for me.
不要让我的工作变得那么困难。
It's a wonderful section.
他说是一个非常棒的一个段落。
One of my very favorites in the book.
是这个月亮下之书当中我非常喜欢的段落之一。
So we'll start at it'll be 6:30 my time. I don't know what time it will be your time. We'll get an early start so we make sure to get through it and can talk about it if we need to or if we want to.
对，下一次我会争取准时到，然后大家开始早一点读。Yeah. But their time is 10:19 now, so they are 1 hour.
Yeah, so we'll be done before that. I'm just saying, what time do they start? 7:30 at night?
Yeah, they are 7:30. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna just tell them we're gonna start at 7:30 so that we get the whole thing done by 9:30.
对，就是7:30，你们的7:30，然后到9:30就争取能读完。Yeah, it's good. It's there for their time. It's still Yeah, it's their time 10:20. They're still here. I guess people are still here.
Yeah, which is wonderful. Does anyone have any questions?
Qinghua, welcome. Qinghua, do you remember Qinghua?
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Have
Yeah.
a long time.
I think Susan went to sleep.
Oh, Susan. Yeah, Susan got off. Yeah. Welcome back, Qinghua.
Did you just join this late?
I don't know
Me?
when Qinghua. When did you come up, Qinghua? Today?
9 o'clock in my time zone. Because I was in the middle of working, so sorry for being late, but I will
No,
go up for this recording.
Listen to the record. Yeah, you can listen to the recording. It's not such a long one.
对，这
Yeah,
这
I will.
并不是很长，所以他说，对，可以听回放，到时候。
好的。
Yeah, I think Tsinghua. How do you say it?
Yeah, Qinghua.
Yes,
Tsinghua.
that's the correct pronunciation. Tsinghua.
Tsinghua.
Yes, lovely.
I think that this was a very important section because it kind of explains the sort of dichotomy or the confusion between changing things on the material world and controlling the material world with the law of attraction and spiritual miracles that change things. It explains how they're all the same thing.
他是说，他是认为今天我们学习的内容其实挺重要的，是怎么样？就是灵性操纵物质啊，然后心智操纵物质啊，然后吸引力法则啊，这些实际上到最后可能都是殊途同归。
Yeah, and it's really good to know this and to understand this.
就是知道这些的非常重要。
Because the Urantia book never talks about the law of attraction, but it always talks about the law of attraction.
预览下之书从来不提吸引力法则，但是实际上这些都是反映的是吸引力法则。
It just doesn't call it the law of attraction.
只是没有给这样的一个名字。
But it's like this section is kind of scientifically explaining how the law of attraction works. Or I should say not scientifically explaining, but philosophically explaining, intellectually explaining.
对，它是这一部分哲学性的和就是智性的解释吸引力法则运作的原理。
Okay, I'm trying to digest this chapter.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. So that's why I think it will really help to listen to the recording, because we really took time with these difficult paragraphs. There was actually one sentence that was particularly difficult, and I think we finally I didn't understand it at all when I first read it. I just started laughing and went, oh my God, what a Urantia book type sentence. But by the end, I did understand it.
Yeah, and physics, math.
Yeah.
就是物理啊、数学啊，你看它就跟这些灵性，它都是这样的，都给它放在一个图像当中了。我觉得这个，所以玉书它是非常的有科学体系的。Yeah. Yeah. That's that's what the beauty about the Urantia book. It brings those scientific terms together with the spirituality. So they are kind of intertwined together, and
yes, I think
fulfill the curiosity of those trained in science. So those trained in science, actually, they are satisfied.
Yes.
And also for those who are spiritual, who only, maybe emerged in divine love of God, this book also reminds us that we also need knowledge in material world to, get through this life better. It's a balance of, yeah, material and mental and spiritual world. They should be in good balance.
Exactly equal. It's like the Trinity, equal balance of all three. And spiritual teachers in our world, they don't understand this. They think you're supposed to completely discard the physical world and just start living in the spiritual world. They're completely missing the whole reason we're on a physical world in this first lifetime. We have to master it. We have to embrace it. We're not supposed to discard it.
对，那个就是身心灵哈，这个就是像三位一体的一样，他们要取得一种平衡。那么为什么我们第一个生命在？那么我们就是要学习怎么样掌控物质嘛，怎么样就是在这个世界能够活得好，这个是必须掌握的一个能力，不能够一下子全然的逃避到灵性世界里边来回避生活当中的挑战。
It's like the book keeps telling us that the trick to being a whole, complete, evolving person is not to learn this thing or that thing, but while we're learning, to keep synthesizing what we learn in different areas and synthesizing them in a balanced way together.
对，就是关于整合，关于同化这个各个方面的知识都要达到一种平衡、和谐。
And Ricky, I agree completely with what you were saying, that this book appeals to scientists as well as spiritually oriented. You can't really say that about many books in this world. This is one of the few, if not the only book on this planet that combines so beautifully the scientific truth and spiritual truth.
对，他说他完全赞同我的观点，就是这本书呢，它是对那有科学头脑、受科学训练的人很有吸引力，对这个非常属灵的人也同样有吸引力，因为在这个星球上很少有这种灵性著作能够这么优美的结合二者。
You don't have to love science and facts and history and philosophy to love this book. You can just love God and love this book. But you don't have to love God to love this book. You can just love science and history and philosophy and astronomy and facts and love this book.
对，你不必要就是说你好像就是热爱神啊，你才来读这本书。如果你热爱科学、历史啊、哲学啊这些，你也可以来读这本书。
And whoops, there I go stuttering again. If you love this book, if you read this book, the more you read it, hopefully, the more you will love science and God, because science, this section tells us very clearly that science is created by God. It's God's divine laws of the universe are what we call science.
对，那么越来越读这本书，你还有希望，就是说你会更热爱科学，同时也更热爱神，因为科学就是反映的是神的神圣的规律、神圣的法则。Yeah, they are actually unified. They can be unified. The love to the science and the love to God. they can be unified and strengthen each other.
Yes, well, in the universe, they are completely unified, and we have to unify them within our being.
对，那么我就说那个对神的热爱跟对科学的热爱并不矛盾，他们是可以统一的。这个，对，是海蒂表示同意。那么我们就是要在我们的存在当中达到这样的一个统一。
You know, these people who are studying the spiritual realms and trying to be enlightened, if you notice, they always go to the most beautiful places on earth to do it.
那些想要达成整合的，然后开悟的那些人，他们往往去到地球上最美的地方。
They say, well, those places are the most heavenly, but that makes no sense because they're completely physical places. If the physical didn't matter, they could just have their retreat in the middle of a slum.
这个就是有一点矛盾，因为这个他们说那些的地方，那些美丽的地方是最接近天堂的那么如果他们是真正灵性的，那么他们为什么不选择那个比较差的地方去进行进修呢？
Because the physical does matter. The physical matters, you know, just as much as our bodies matter. They're God's creation. They're what the spiritual world exists in a physical universe.
因为就是物质的确它是有关系的，它是重要的，对。那这个灵性，我们灵性的存有是生活在物质的宇宙。
All these spiritual teachers teach you that you become a spiritual being and you get rid of the physical, you merge with everyone else, you get rid of yourself, you float around in nothingness. There's no longer anything physical, just emotions, just feelings, just spiritual insight. That's not what the Urantia book teaches us. The Urantia book says God is in a physical place. Paradise is in the center of the universe. It's in a physical location. You can put it on a map.
这有一些灵性的导师就是说你跟那个神合一，然后那个去掉自我，你就在空中飘着，然后你就只有情绪和情感。然后呢，实际上《与海蒂之书》告诉我们，神他是在宇宙的中央，他是存在于宇宙的中央。没有办法，我们就说我们没有办法就飘出物质宇宙的，没有可能。
If we neglect and abuse the physical, it becomes incredibly ugly. Our bodies, our homes, our world, our cities. But if we love it and appreciate it and honor it, it can become heavenly. It can become incredibly beautiful. It can actually become more spiritual.
我们不要，就是如果我们不去这个糟蹋我们的物质宇宙啊，或者忽略它呀，更珍赏它，更荣耀它，那么我们就可以生活在一个天堂一样的地方。
We look at these photographs of space, way out in distant space. They're incredibly beautiful. You can't believe how beautiful they are.
我们看那些宇宙的那个银河的照片啊什么的，那个都是非常美的。
God is not making an ugly material universe. He's making a beautiful material universe. We just have to learn to understand that.
神没有创造一个丑陋的物质宇宙，神创造的是美丽的物质宇宙。我们要慢慢的认识到这些，珍赏这些。
We don't love a little kitten or a dog or a lion because they're spiritual beings. We love them because they're beautiful material beings.
我们喜欢小猫啊、狗啊、狮子啊，不是因为它们是一个灵性的存有，而是它们是一个物质的造物。
I see your cat Sunny isn't in the group anymore. He must have fallen asleep.
Yeah, I must locked off.
He locked off.
The first time she logged in, that. Yeah.
She's learning. She's learning.
对，她在学习。
Oh boy.
Okay, are we done for this session?
I'm done unless anyone else has anything.
Pause. Well,
You can log.
oh, okay.
In other words, he's saying when you say happy are they who mourn, you're saying happy are the sad. You're saying happy are the sad. That's a strange thing to say.
对，他就说悲伤的人有福了。对，好像是很矛盾的。对。
He's saying if you're sad, be happy because you will be comforted. So if you're
对，
sad,
因为你
be
悲哀
happy.
的时候，你要振作，你相当于你就振作，因为你会被受到抚慰啊。你如果是感到悲哀，你就高兴起来吧，因为你会受到安慰，那你就有福了嘛。
He's not saying be happy and you will find God. That may be true. It may not be true. But he's saying be happy if you're sad because you will find God. Well, he's not saying you will find God. He's saying you will be comforted. But when you're comforted by God, you end up knowing God. If you let God comfort you, you have to acknowledge God.
对，你被神所这个抚慰了，那你就找到神了嘛。
It's really extraordinary.
你就有福了嘛。所以实际上所有的这些的困境都给我们更贴近神，认识神谦卑的就是跟神就是找到回家的路的一些的那个情境和方式。
You know, I make these jokes, but when I was young, I was trying to be I had a band and I was a singer and I was trying to be a rock star and I thought I was going to be one. I thought I was going to be successful.
对，他年轻的时候跟这个乐队啊，他就是唱歌，对，他认为他会成功的。
And I feel that another part of me wanted to know God, deeply, sincerely wanted to know God and be a better person. There were two different parts of me. One wanted to be a rock star, one wanted to be a better person.
对，那么就是我有另外一部分呢，就是想很诚实的、真诚的去寻找神。所以有两个，我一部分想成为那个摇滚明星，另外一部分就想成为一个真诚的寻求神的人。
Now my ego, which was pretty big, lied to me. And it said to me, if you become rich and famous, then you can have more influence on the world. Then you can help more people. Then you can do more good.
我的小我呢，就跟我撒谎啊，他就诱惑我说，如果你成为你富有了，你有名了，你可以借此帮助更多的人啊。
But because I had this other part of me that really did want to be good, I think that my thought adjuster, my spirit guides, I think they worked with me to prevent me from getting rich and famous.
对，那我的另外的一部分就是实际上呢，就是我的灵性的指导的那一部分，它就阻止我成为那个有名有利的。
I believe completely that if I had been successful back then and become rich and famous, that my ego would have been way blown out of proportion.
对，我非常相信，彻底的相信，如果我就是名利双收，非常的成功，我的小我呢还不被吹到天上去了。
I was the kind of person who went around saying, all you have to do is work really, really hard, excuse me, have some talent, make few connections, and you can be rich and famous.
我可能就是到处在这宣扬说啊，只要你刻苦努力啊，稍微有点天赋啊，有一些的那个人际联系啊，你也会变得有名成功。
Now I know that's not even close to being true.
那我现在就意识到根本不是那么回事。
Now I know you can be really talented and work really hard and have plenty of connections and be a complete failure.
但是现在我知道了，即使你非常的勤奋工作，也很有天赋，也人际关系网络也不少，但是有可能彻底的失败。
And now I know that if things go right for you and you get a lucky break here and there and you make a little money or have a little bit of success, you should be extremely, extremely grateful because most of that had nothing to do with you. That's what I believe. Although the law of attraction says something else, but I believe that anyway.
Right. 那现在呢，就是我是认为，如果你稍微有一点幸运的得到一点的成功呢，应该是感觉到非常幸运的，因为
You could even say if you're lucky enough to know about the law of attraction, you should be very grateful, and that has nothing to do with you.
这个跟吸引力法则怎么联系的，我也没听清。
So I'm glad that I never became a rock star. Very glad.
那我现在非常的高兴，我们要成为一个摇滚歌星。
I would much rather have my little, Ricky, our little Mary Agandanters group and just be humble and try to find the truth with a small group of people any day than try to change the world, by being on TV.
Yeah. 那就是我认为现在，比如说我认识到一个小小的，琪琪，然后还有一个群体，然后一块儿学习真理，这样比较更好，比那个在电视上发表演讲或者成为有名的人士出来改变世界要更好。
I think my thought adjuster and my angels and the celestial influence helped me the most by making me fail again and again because I had too big of an ego.
对，那我认为我的信仰调整者，我的天使就是对我最大的帮助，就是让我失败了又失败，受挫了又受挫。
Now I have to be careful that
因为我的小我太大了，我很容易骄傲的。
Now Ricky, now I have to be careful that I don't get too proudful about being such a failure.
那现在呢，我就要小心了，我不要太因为我的失败而骄傲。Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's true. Self humble 是 oh, I am worse than most people. This is also
Yeah.
a pride, self pride.
I'm the most humble, biggest failure in the
Yeah,
world.
yes. Yeah. 我是最谦虚的失败者啊，就是我如果是这样宣称，那么也是一种骄傲。对，对啊。Yes. Whatever based on our own, they are all part of the pride.
Oh, just you have to be so careful.
就是要非常小心，就是基于我的任何的属灵的傲慢。
That's why when you pray, I think it's always good to say, maybe you could say, I want this success, or I want this house, or I want this relationship, but always add, and I want to do God's will. I want to do the thing that will make me a better person, that will put me on my right path, that will bring me closer to God. God, I want to do your will, because that way you may think you want something and it may not be good for you.
Yeah. 所以在我们祷告的时候，我们可以说，哎，我要这个房子，我要这个关系啊，哎，但是呢，一定要加上说我要就是按神的旨意来，就是无论如何，就是能够让我成为一个更好的人，能够让我走在正确的路途上，那么能够实行对神的旨意的，对，就是这样才是对我最好的，而不一定是我的那个想要的愿望实现。
Now we've got two late nighters left. Leah and Ann still with us.
对，还有2个伙伴跟我们一起。
Yes, I'm happy. 这个 Ricky 啊，我刚才他想起来，他不要为他的那个失败谦卑啊，我就想起很好笑的一个事情。我的一个亲戚也是我的领导啦，曾经，他就特别享受被人崇拜，他有很多粉丝，然后他也不用微信，他说我要低调，然后我几年前我就看穿了哦，我现在就开始自大了，我就说他哪是低调啊？他想让全世界都知道他很低调。后来这个人真的是出了很大的问题，他老婆癌症的时候他就出轨，并且呢，他老婆不知道的情况下，他主动告诉了他老婆，真的是个人渣。他说他要低调，我说他是要让全世界的人都知道他低调。
是的，Yeah， 就是 that's a good relation, that's a good, yeah， 是的 ，Yeah， Heidi, just related to this, the pride related to the humbling himself. So some humbling is intentional humbling is also one type of pride.
Yes.
And yeah, she mentioned that an example of one of his previous boss, also one of his relatives that yeah. So eventually, that person revealed himself to be not that a good one. So it's yeah. So people can use humbling to actually identify themselves to be different, to be better person, but it may not be true. Yes.
Well, that guy that didn't give me the job because I said that stupid thing, right? Well, in that interview, I thought about it. And in that interview, he kept saying how he didn't care about credentials, and he fired a guy because he kept bragging about what school he went to, and all he cared was about who someone is, and but in that interview, he mentioned the school he went to or where he taught at least 3 times.
对，他就去举他的例子，他的生活体验。他说：“你记不记得那一次，我就说那个有一个很好的工作我丢了嘛？丢了，就是那个，就是那个人。那个人呢，他反复的强调，他说他不在乎这个教育啊、履历这些的，而是更在乎这个人他实际上这好像人的品质如何。”但是呢，他却三番五次在这个谈话当中提到他是从哪个学校毕业的。Yeah, it's a kind of paradox. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like he found a way. Like he would say something like, I went to Harvard and that doesn't mean anything to me. And this guy was bragging he went to Harvard, but yet he told me he went to Harvard.
对，就像有人说啊，我去过哈佛毕业的，但是这个根本不重要。对，但是他还是在乎、重视他是从哈佛毕业的这个事实。
So I'm not sure he really was who he was pretending to be. Maybe he was, but I'm not sure.
对，他不确定这个人呢，是不是他想要表现出来的那个本质上是不是他表现的样子。
So maybe it's a good thing that I didn't get that job.
有可能就是没有得到那个工作岗位，可能也是好事。对啊。
You know?
Yeah, everything has God's plan on it. You know, we
Yeah.
don't regret on anything. Maybe
Yeah.
it is our inner self, you know, kind of push you to see something to rule the whole deal.
Well, and now I'm building my art website.
Yeah. 我就说有可能，他就说他说了不当说的话，他抱怨前老板，然后呢，实际上就是把整个的那个人本来想雇佣他。
Hey, can I share the screen?
那伙伴们，你们休息吧，去休息吧。现在他就是让我看他的那个呀，sure.
Okay. Okay, you should see it. In a minute, you should see my screen. Oh, I can't. It says unable to share as someone else is sharing.
Okay, let me stop sharing.